Hi gang, Jesse here from EC Auto Repair, and wanted to visit with you for a few minutes. So I'm sure most of you have been on a trip. So tell you a little story real quick. Recently I literally came to this spot right here. It was about a month ago or so. I run a towing truck at times, a tow truck for my other business, and this guy broke down. Unfortunately, he busted a serpentine belt. So his alternator, his battery went dead, his vehicle overheated, there was several things. So he was literally, stuck where he couldn't move. He somehow got underneath this bridge, which got him into a shady location. So that was good. It was also one of the very first hot days of the summer that we'd had. So he was very unprepared for the turn of events that was about to happen. He didn't have any water with him. He was not prepared to be broke down. And then because that there was a snafu with the dispatch, he called AAA. AAA called us. There was an internal fault of ours, I'm ashamed to admit, where I was not dispatched in a timely manner. I finally got dispatched, got up here to help the guy. He'd been here for approximately 2 hours. Needless to say, the good news was he was in the shade. The other good news was he got off this very busy interstate. This is I-40 right above us. What you're seeing over there is I-40 westbound. We're directly underneath I-40 eastbound. We're sharing a space with the little birdies, right? But he got right here, and by the time I got up here, he was very thirsty, and yeah, he had been broke down for a while. And so we carry water on all the wreckers. I got him a drink, was able to get it hooked up and able to get him to a safe spot. Not always is it possible to get completely off the interstate, but in this case, he was able to get completely off the interstate without doing damage to his vehicle. He was able to actually get it into a shady spot here. And honestly, being underneath the highway is a little bit safer spot than being on either side, because God forbid, but should somebody depart their lane and go over the bridge, you don't want to be in a spot where you can be hurt should something go wrong like that. So anyhow, that being said, I would like, if you're interested, who all's interested, if you're interested, I would like to just share with you some tips that I've learned along the way from being broke down and from helping other people that have been broke down. So let me pop open my truck. So first of all, staging your vehicle. Pull over as far as you can to the side. There's only so far we can pull over due to the concrete wall beside us. We'll pull over as far as we can to the side and turn on the emergency flashers. Hopefully you're in an area where you've got a cell phone signal and you can call for help. If you're a AAA member or you got towing assistance on your insurance, then call the appropriate number, right? Say you don't have any of those, then you can do a Google search for roadside assistance near me, or roadside assistance, or tow truck near me, fuel delivery near me, jump start, flat tire near me, whatever, and you're going to be able to find someone that can help you. Here's the caveat: whenever you call your insurance or you call AAA, AAA is actually really good about getting you help as quickly as possible, more often than not. Here's the other deal though: when you call your roadside assistance on your insurance, whether Allstate dispatches directly themselves, perhaps Progressive does, I'm not for sure about them, but most of the other insurance companies, most of them actually farm out the dispatching to third-party companies. There's other companies called Honk, Ajero, and NSD, or the top three, right? So Ajero, NSD, guess what? They want to figure out how to get the job done for the totally cheapest price, so they can make the biggest spread between what the tow provider charges and what the insurance company pays, right? So as a result, they are not worried about you being stuck on the side of the road. They're trying to make the most money, so they will call, and they'll ask for a bid, and they'll call the next guy and they'll ask for a bid, and they'll call the next guy and ask for the bid, and they'll call half a dozen to a dozen shops and getting bids, and then if they don't like any of the bids, then they'll call them back again and try to get them to come down on the price, and all this takes time, and in the meantime, you could be stuck on the side of the road, maybe without water or whatever, and so it's just really a bad deal. So sometimes in those cases, it's actually just best to call a towing company like mine, or to call roadside assistance or whatever. Go ahead and pay for it with your credit card, and then get a receipt, and then you can turn in for reimbursement. That's actually the fastest way to handle it, because ultimately when we get a call that someone, especially a family or an individual, is broke down on the side of the road, then we have lots of things that actually automatically run through our mind. Are they in a safe spot? Do they have liquids to drink? You know, how many people do I need to get to a safe spot? How hot is it outside? What kind of condition is the vehicle in? Do they just have a flat tire, so then the car still runs and the air conditioner still works? Or is it a case where the belt's broke and so therefore the car won't run anymore? These are all scenarios that we play out in our mind as we try to assess how can we get people help the quickest. Also, a provider like myself, one of the things that we'll do is, if we know the wreckers are tied up on other jobs, then we'll go ahead and run a chase vehicle out there to get the people to a safe location and get them some water, get them into a cool place. Whatever it takes, because your safety is of utmost importance to us. So in this case, we got the flashers on. If you're on the side of the interstate especially, there's always a risk of being impacted by another vehicle. You also want to be as far off the roadway as possible, even if it means running on a flat tire a little bit. The farther you can get off the roadway, the better it is. Yes, the law in Oklahoma is that you're supposed to slow down or move over for stopped emergency vehicles with flashers and lights, right? Unfortunately, as you've seen in a lot of my towing videos, people don't move over very good, and that's just the way it is. But if you're on the interstate or there is a chance of being impacted, you want to turn your tires all the way into traffic. And you say, Jesse, that's not right. It's not into traffic. Actually, it is. You want this to be a scenario that if somebody's texting and driving, drinking and driving, or just plain distracted and driving, and they plow into the back of your car, you don't want it just careening straight ahead. You want it to fly into the traffic so that two things can happen. Hopefully it's not careening into you, and secondly, you want the traffic to be able to stop. A vehicle pushed into traffic will cause the traffic to stop. That'll allow the authorities to get on scene and assess what's going on and go from there. So always, and if you're assisting somebody, if you pull up to help somebody, say that this tire is flat and you park your vehicle behind me, then you'll want to park your vehicle behind me far enough that it's used as a shield, right? But there again, you're going to angle your vehicle so that if it's impacted, that it doesn't fly into you while you're here working. You want it to fly into the traffic out here, right? It stops the traffic, and most of all, you get to go home and live to tell the tale about not dying on the side of the road, right? So having your vehicle staged properly and using it as a shield, the more flashing lights, the better. We obviously want to try to be completely off the roadway if at all possible. I've seen people stop on the side of the interstate to take a nap. I pulled up behind, this one time I was driving down the road, and perhaps you can relate, hopefully not, but there was a man and a woman in a vehicle. So if you've ever been in a man or a woman in a vehicle, then you can relate to this. But I'm driving down the road, and they're pulled over on the side of the interstate. Their flashers are on. It's late at night. It's after dark. So I pull over to check on them to make sure they're not having any trouble. They was literally in a dispute amongst themselves and arguing, and had pulled over to try to work out their differences. Well, it's true that when two people are together, at times the differences will have to be worked out. It was a very, very bad decision to stop where they was stopped at. There was an exit that they could have exited off of and gotten off of a busy road, and however, they choose not to do that. So it's always in our best interest as drivers, especially drivers with passengers, to get to a safe spot. There's so many vehicles that get hit from behind by distracted drivers, and honestly, I just don't want any of us to be another statistic. So moving right along, I'm going to pop the trunk. And you'll notice we've got wind. Makes it easier to stay cool, but my trunk flew open, not because it's such a great trunk, but because it has wind assistance. We're going to call it wind power. It's green power. This is a hybrid car, green power, wind assisting. So especially if you're a mom, or you have aspirations to become a mom, or you're a dad, or have aspirations to become a dad, then, you know, especially with summer being here, today's date, we're in June, so lots of people are going on family vacations, going to Disney, going to Branson, going to the mountains, going to the beach, going wherever life takes us, right? You got suitcases, and you got your snacks, and you got all the different things, right? And you might be asking, well, what should I have in the vehicle just in case something goes wrong? So glad you asked. I'm going to highly, and I'm not being paid to do this, but maybe I will be. I'm going to see if I can get an affiliate link for y'all. But a AAA membership is by far one of the cheapest investments a person can make if you own a car, drive a car, or ride in a car. If you do any of those for less than $200 a year, you can have towing protection, jump start protection, tire protection, lockout service, shuttle service, all kinds of things. Just 2 nights ago, just 2 or 3 days ago, I was in Phoenix, Arizona. The battery in my car went bad. It failed so hard that it couldn't even be jumped off. AAA came to where I was at, and they installed a new battery, and you couldn't ask for better service. They come to you and do it. We're one of those providers here. So the AAA membership, for, like I said, for less than $200 a year, you can get that. I'll get you an affiliate link. If you'll use the affiliate link, I'd sure appreciate it. But so I bought a tool bag. Okay, just see, it's still got the deal on it, the little sticker that says it's a 17-inch tool bag. You can go to the automotive section at Walmart, you can go to Atwoods, you can go to Amazon, you can go wherever, and you can get just a little tote bag, so just everything can stay neat and together in your trunk. You moms will love this. This is a just in case first aid kit. What a fitting name, like just in case. Just in case little Johnny cuts his finger, right? Now you got band-aids, you got tape, you got scissors, you got just some basic first aid stuff. Okay? You got a jump pack. These jump packs, I'm not going to show you the brand of this. I'm not endorsing a specific brand. This is one of the ones that I use, though. But if the battery still has a little bit of voltage in it, you can usually jump a car off with one of these. If the battery is completely dead or it's got a dead short, this is totally useless. But not only has it got a jump pack, this unplugs. Now you got a place that you can charge a cell phone, and it also has your flashlight. So you got a flashlight, it's got different settings, bright, dim, and you got a flashing light. So especially after dark, if I'm broke down on the side of the road, then I can actually just sit this down right beside my car, and I got a flashing light that people will be able to see easier, right? So that's my flashlight, okay? jump pack. Always make sure you got a phone charger. Now, I just drove back, like I said, from Phoenix a couple days ago. There's a lot of spots between Arizona and Oklahoma. There's zero phone service, okay? So if I broke down, having AAA and having a cell phone wouldn't mean anything because maybe I didn't even have service. Maybe I have to walk to get service or depend on somebody to stop and help on me, check on me, whatever, right? But make sure you got a phone charger, okay? That's a given. Like most people have their phone and their phone charger, right? I like to have a little bit of window washer. That way if something happens, then I can have a clean window. Even though it's the summertime, it's always good to have a blanket, right? So you don't have to have your best blanket. Hopefully you'll never need it. But for sure in the wintertime, you always want to have a hoodie, a blanket, coat, different things, just in case you're stuck out in the cold with a car that won't work in cold temperatures. So we got our blanket there. And these are super cheap jumper cables. I gave like 13 bucks for these this morning, right? But they're super cheap. They're not gonna start your car if it's extremely dead. Like if the battery's got a short, they're not gonna work. But if you left your headlights on and you're just needing a little bit of a jump, then this is a great alternative to the jump pack. So with this will usually start the vehicle, but you don't need anything else, right? This, you at least have to have another vehicle and somebody with a kind heart that's willing to lend you some assistance, right? So these are 10 gauge. These are 12 foot long and they're 10 gauge. So you're gonna hook the red to the positive and the black to the negative, right? So with this being a 10 gauge, these work great for a little car. They're not gonna be so hot for starting a diesel pickup, right? But these are perfect because this is just a little hybrid car, so it's going to be perfect for that. Also, I love gloves, right? So it doesn't really matter any kind of gloves, but it's always good to have a set of gloves. You're going to pick, maybe you have a flat tire. First of all, you don't want your hands all dirty. Secondly, there might be wires and stuff poking out from the tire, so it's always good to have tires. These gloves was $3, okay? They're fluorescent yellow, so it's easier to see. Because probably don't have a safety vest because I wasn't planning on being broke down, right? But I got my gloves. I don't have an air compressor in this car, but maybe I've just got a really small leak, or maybe my tire's only partially flat, or worse yet, maybe I have a blowout, but then I got to put my spare on, and my spare is partially deflated. Maybe it's supposed to have 50 pounds of pressure in it. Maybe it's only got 10. Well, I can use this to air up the tire, at least to get to a station or somewhere where I can get some air and some assistance, right? Fix-A-Flat. Can I Fix-A-Flat's like $6. So on the newer cars, lots of the SUVs, lots of the newer cars that are rolling out today, Teslas especially too, the vehicles don't even come with the spare tire anymore. It's crazy. Manufacturers are trying to cut down on the weight of the vehicle, and they're trying to cut down on production costs, so they eliminated the spare tire and the spare wheel, right? We had a car in the shop a few months ago. They'd had a blowout and stuff, went to get his spare tire, and all that was there where the spare tire should have been was a can of Fix-A-Flat. And that was a high-end manufacturer. I believe it was a Mercedes. That's what their solution was. Instead of a spare tire, you get a can of Fix-A-Flat with your very expensive car. So it's like $6. So we're in Oklahoma, right? This may not be applicable depending on which part of the world you are, but we have lots of bugs. We have mosquitoes, we have gnats, we have flies, we have all the things, right? And we're very human, so the insects are just attracted to you. So while not everybody's going to agree with me, off or some sort of DEET spray is just a necessary ingredient here to keep from being eaten alive. So I like to carry that. I also have a little bitty flashlight. Hold it in my mouth. I can examine what I'm working on if I have to, and it's also an alternative if I'm not using the flashlight on this, right? And then last but not least, a roll of the blue shop towels. You can buy these at Walmart, you can buy them at Harbor Freight, you can buy them at most automotive parts stores, you can buy them on Amazon. But these are the blue shop towels, or blue Scott towels, or they call them different things, right? But here's the thing, if my hands get dirty, then I can use a little bit of my Windex, spray my hands, and I can wipe them off. If my window gets dirty, I can spray a little bit of that on the window, use my blue towel, wipe it off, right? And then last but not least, a stable gallon of drinking water. I can drink this even on a 90-degree day. Even if this water is 90 degrees, at least it's wet, and at least it hydrates me, right? God forbid, but say maybe I run out of coolant, or I'm a little bit low on coolant, and my vehicle's trying to overheat. Well, this is only a temporary solution. I now have liquid I can pour into the car to at least get to a spot where I can have some help. Maybe even if it's just a spot where I can get phone service again. Who knows? So that all being said, you can get a tool bag or a tote of some sort. You can get a roll of towels. You can get a can of bug spray, can of Fix-A-Flat, set of jumper cables, my favorite item, the gloves, an old blanket, probably from grandma's hand-me-downs, right? Everybody's got one of those, maybe two. All right, stuff that in there, put it in the bottom. A just in case first aid kit. My gloves. I'll figure out where to put this. It'll all fit, right? It'll all fit. It's supposed to. You ever bought something and then it won't fit back in the box after you take it all out? It's kind of what this is like, right? But here we go. Okay. Look at how stable that is. That's pretty stable, and that's not even the right way in the car. So I can put it over here like this, right? Slam on the brakes. It doesn't like to slide. It doesn't take up much room. It's compact. I can use it to wedge my water bottle into place. And those are just a few of the safety essentials that I feel like you should have in your vehicle wherever life takes you. See you in the next video.